Okay, guys, human endocrine system and homeostasis in humans. My name is Mr. Mpepu, and today's date 7 May 2024, Tuesday, and the time there 24 minutes past 11. With that being said, guys, Sanbonani, Dumelani, Afsheni, hello, Nda, guys, to all corners of South Africa and Africa Kabupara. I personally welcome you to this session. I personally welcome you to my class, Learning Life Science with Mr. Mpepu. So if you are new here, today we'll be dealing with glands and hormones, right? Following our yesterday class when we did an introduction, we do the locations of glands, where are they located and what hormones are they producing and how and what are those functions that are related to those hormones. We did them yesterday. If you are new here, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, guys. Don't forget to share these videos with other fellow learners, anyone, guys. Even if it's your mother, you can just take them along. Even if it's your father, you can take them along so that they can come here and learn this beautiful life science of ours and learn our body, so that tomorrow when we said, can you please point where there is a hypothalamus, can you please point where we found our pituitary gland, they can be able to locate those places, right? So thank you. Last time I checked, we were at positive 180 subscribers, guys. I really like to appreciate you, all of you are subscribing. If you are new here and you haven't subscribed, guys, please join the train, guys. The train is still moving on, isn't it? So thank you for being here, guys. Thank you for foiling that subscription, guys. That like key one coal. Literally a coal there at the engine, so that the engine can move on. Do you understand? You subscribe. I know I started with only 3 subscribers. I still remember we were at week 1 here, 18th of March, last month, right? Last month we started this with 3 subscribers, guys. And then while you are adding, today we are here. Today, me and you, we are learning about this part that controls or that helps our body to respond to the stimuli or to respond to the environment. Thank you for being here, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you. So re tseneng ditabeng. Ke a leboha, guys. Ke a le ndira motho. Serious. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Mpepu. Are being serious no? Human endocrine system, right? We are now dealing with human endocrine system and homeostasis in human. Yesterday we did a long 1 hour 30 minutes introduction to this topic, dealing with the structure, dealing with the location, dealing with these organs, right? These organs that secrete what do we call that, secrete substances, right? And then I even told you that we have the exocrine that they secrete outside, right? They have the duct, this one. And then I give an example of a milk, give an example of tears, I give an example of what else, saliva, I give an example of, you understand, all pancreas, juices, enzymes that break down. You did this in grade 11, right? So thank you for being here. We also said that we have 2 types of crine system, this crine system of ours, right? But now we are learning the endocrine system, which is the system that use glands, Mr. Mpepu. You said this yesterday, Mr. Mpepu. We learned that these glands here, they are just an organ that secrete or that produces one or more substances. And these glands, we divide them into 2. We divide them into exocrine and endocrine. Here now, right? And then we said that we are going to focus only on these endocrine. And then these endocrine, these are the glands that produces hormones. What are hormones, Mr. Mpepu? We talked about it yesterday, and we said these hormones, they are organic chemical messengers being produced by one gland or one organ, enters or transported via our bloodstream up until they reach another cell somewhere, and then they attach that cells, and then they initiate that stimuli. After initiating that stimuli, that cell respond, and then that's now we are saying we are responding to the environment. Mr. Mpepu, we talked about the glands, right? We talked about the hormones. With these hormones, they are produced, and we also have glands. Let's move on, Mr. Mpepu. Let's move on. Arboni here. Someone just told me that in this screen, don't say much because some people, they can't see, right? So we are moving on by our cap statement. We learned this yesterday, our CAPE statement. We did a hypothalamus. They said in hypothalamus, know that hypothalamus secretes ADH, right? With this yesterday. And then they only want us to understand the location and in the body, where are these glands or these organs are located, right? And then we also have to know the hormones that are secreted, also the roles of the following glands. Right, so the function of that gland will be to produce that hormone, and then the function of that hormone will be now related to that gland. For an example, if an ADH is being produced or it's being secreted by hypothalamus, whatever ADH is going to do, it will be the function of this hypothalamus, vice versa. I agree, this ADH is a messenger. We did this messaging thing during DNA replication, right? When we said in our DNA, we have our mRNA. That mRNA is the one that is going to go to the ribosome and produce the protein. We still remember, right? Those are the messengers. The message is written in our DNA during DNA transcription, if you still remember. So these hormones, they are just sending the message. The message is sent to up until another organs or another cells react somewhere. We talked about our pituitary glands, and I said that in these pituitary glands, we are only going to focus on only 5 hormones that are produced by our pituitary gland, which are thyroid stimulating hormone, follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone, prolactin, and a growth hormone, right? Same thing. Growth hormone is for our growth. What more? Growth hormone for our growth, our skeletal and muscle development, our our bones, they are going to develop by this growth hormone. And then from there, we have our milk there, production of milk in our human, right? Today we are going to do this in details. You are going to see the human breast. Yes. And then another thing, we have the LH, both produced in our female and males, right? This LH in our females, it's going to initiate ovulation, right? And then in our males, is going to initiate a production of testosterone. You know that testosterone, they are produced in a testis, but they are produced by cells called Leydig, if you're not mistaken, Mr. Pape. Thank you, right? And then we have our follicle stimulating hormone. What is follicle stimulating hormone? Same name. It's going to stimulate what? The follicles. Then the follicles, after stimulated, they are going to produce what? Estrogen. During reproduction, you did reproduction again. You did reproduction term 1. And then we have the thyroid stimulating hormone. And then we said, if you still remember, Mr. People, you said this pituitary gland of ours, some books or some people refer this as our master gland. Why, Mr. People? Because this pituitary gland of ours is a master gland because it can produce the hormones, or it can produce those substances that they can go and affect another gland or another organ to produce another substance. So you see, this one is the driver. And then if you can see by the location of these two, they are located in your head. Do you understand? They are located there, the machinery, where we have control center. That's where these two here, hypothalamus and the pituitary gland, they are located. And then in our endocrine system, we see this pituitary gland playing a vital role to maintain this endocrine system of ours. From there, we learn that thyroxine stimulating hormone, it is going to stimulate a gland called a thyroid, where here in our throat. So if we have more of this, hence we found people developing the big, but here the apple, the apple, I'm not sure if that is the same thing, but the thyroid gland, it is here in our throat, located here in our throat. That is the gland. Right, and then this thyroid stimulating hormone is going to stimulate this gland here to do what? To produce a gland. It is only produced there. These hormones here, so to activate the gland to produce a hormone, and that hormone there is a thyroxine. Thyroxine, it is produced only there in our throat, in our thyroid. What is a thyroxine? A thyroxine is a primary hormone produced by our thyroid gland. You are done. from pituitary gland. And then when we connect these two, let's come and connect what is thyroxine is doing in our body, Mr. Pep. This thyroxine in our body is going to maintain the development of our brain, the development of our tissues, the development of our muscles, our metabolism. You know that for muscles to function, they have to undergo the process called metabolism, so that they'll be able to break down that glucose to the ATP, so that the metabolism can kick in. You did this in grade respiration, right? You did this in grade 11. You did that. So when we say this thyroid plays a vital role in metabolism, you know that what is happening with metabolism, what is happening in the mitochondria. We have a place, or I won't say life science. Let's talk this life science. We've been doing this life science from grade 10, guys. We've been doing this life science. We know now, or we understand, Mr. Mpepu. We were taught in grade 10, Mr. Mpepu, me and you. We were taught that in mitochondria, that's where the energy is being produced, and that energy is needed for my cell to function. Where is the beginning of a human being? A human being begins as a cell. It means that in that cell had those, hence we find a sperm cell having a mitochondrial DNA on its neck. It needs that energy. So I'm not sure if you understand me. So we're moving on, right? Let's move on. And then from there, we have our endocrine. With our endocrine glands, we are going to concentrate on our pancreas. And then this pancreas here, we found them. You do this in digestion grade 10. We found them there back behind our stomach, right? And then they produced a pancreas juices. When we do digestion, we said this pancreas here, it produced pancreas juices that is going to break down the protein, that is going to break down the fats, that is going to break down the starch, right? And then we are also finding it here in our endocrine glands, because Baring, it plays the two role. We did this yesterday. It plays the two role. It also plays as an exocrine system, and it also plays role under endocrine system. In endocrine system, the system that we are studying now, or the system that we are concentrating on now, we found that we have the pancreas producing a hormone. A hormone is a substance, or it's a chemical. So it means that this insulin, we found this insulin affecting somewhere, somehow. And then we found that this insulin, it is produced where? In our pancreas. So it makes this insulin our hormone. Where is it produced? By our pancreas. So that makes a pancreas also an endocrine system gland. They also release a glucagon. A glucagon, what is the function of glucagon? Okay, let's start here. We talked this yesterday. We said the function of insulin is to make, or is to force our liver, or it is to stimulate. I don't want to say life science. It is to stimulate our liver to absorb glucose. How do they absorb glucose? By turning that glucose into a glycogen. Right? Glycogen stored into our liver. And then by the time when now, maybe by the time when now you're saying I'm fasting, right? I'm not ingesting anything. I'm not taking in, hence when we find people fasting, they don't die, right? Tomorrow you don't eat anything, you still have energy. 4 days, 5 days, 40 days, 30 days, you are not eating anything, but you still have energy, you can talk. And we alone, or we were told that energy is the ability to do work. For me to talk like this, it's because I have energy. I can do tomorrow. Let me wake up tomorrow with hunger. You won't see me again here, because I will be hungry. I won't have that energy to do this work. So this insulin of ours, it's not going to convert our glucose into energy. We are not converting our glucose into energy. We are just storing our glucose for when the glucose it will be needed where in our mitochondria there. When we are breaking it down and mixing with oxygen, what, and then end up coming up with ATP, right? 6 or 12 ATP, I'm not sure, and another byproduct, I'm not sure. I'm not sure there. We started this in grade 11, right? We started this in grade 11. So insulin, it is converting our glucose, stored it as a glycogen. It is stimulating a liver. I agree the glucose will arrive at the liver. But what insulin is going to do is going to tell your liver to say, liver, take this glucose, cancel it something or mix with something, convert it to glucagon, put it aside, right? And then by doing that, the glucose is being stored, and then the glucose in our level is being decreased in that way, right? But during the fasting time, during when you are not eating anything, when you are surviving 4 days, 5 days, 6 days without eating anything, but you can still go around, you can still go to the classes and attend, but when more, yeah, something in your body is happening. We need that glucose for you to walk. We need that glucose for you to say, we did this in grade 11, right? So we have the glucagon. We also see another hormone being produced by the pancreas called glucagon. And then the function of this glucagon is to convert this glycogen that is stored back to glucose, so that that glucose, it can be now stored, or it can be now transferred to the blood, and then that blood transport it to the various cells of our human body. Hence, I can speak now with 5 days of not eating. Hence, I can speak now with many days of not eating. This is what is happening in my body. Up until that glucose, up until that glycogen finish, we are going to step 2. I'm going to chow down the fats. You know that our fats are made out of a fatty, if I'm not mistaken, correct me here, are made out of a fatty acid and another one, I'm not sure the other one that side, but it's 3 something like this, right? You did this in grade 11. We have fatty acids and what there, glycogen or gluca, I'm not sure the other, this molecule here, what we call, I'm going to Google it after here, right? So we know that if that fats are stored as fats, this is the process that is stored as fats. So what is going to happen, my body is going to take down that fats and break it down into fatty acids, and then my body now try to use that fatty acids up until we are done of energy. That's when I die. Then after dying, I child, and then our body now deteriorate. Our flesh start to break down because of these hormones. Well, I agree, these hormones will be now moving in our blood, and then the blood won't be now producing bringing that glucose. It means that the moment you die, when the only thing maybe that dies, let's just put it like this, the only thing that dies is the system. But the cell is not dying. The cell still on, still living, still replicating. There's no way. It's just that maybe the cell no longer replicate. Maybe some of them, they no longer replicate. Some of them, they replicate. Hence, you see people that are that we dig them from below the after river barrier. We find that their hairs, they grow, right? Their nails, they also extend, right? And then we understand that is from the function of the cell. So it means that some cells are still functioning. Now when I die now, it's just that my system is no longer working. The system of taking in oxygen and putting out oxygen. The system of my heart taking my oxygenated blood to the other cells. That system is not working. Right, but the cell there is still working. And after that, we still find I don't want to contradict myself. Let's move on, right? Let's move on. And then from adrenal gland, we also have from pancreas, we also have adrenal gland. With this yesterday, and then we said this adrenal gland is going to produce adrenaline and aldosterone. Where do we use this aldosterone, Mr. Mpebu? Aldosterone, it is used in our kidneys. Right, in our kidneys. In grade 11, we learn about the process called the nephrons, and then the process called reabsorption and a secretion, right? We secretion the urine, and then we know that we have something called a neuron there. We have something called the neuron there, something like this, if you still remember, descending and descending, if you still remember, something like that, right? And then this neuron, we have the Bowman capsule there with this afferent also surrounding that thing, right? I'm just putting up my mind. And then we learn this, that during when this you call them afferent, right? The one that enters, they call them afferent. So here in afferent arteriole, we have the receptors, or we have the sensors that sense the amount of salt in our body. So when the blood passes here, and then they found that, or the receptor, you know the function of the receptor. Now each and every system start with the receptor. The endocrine and the exocrine, and the nervous system and the endocrine system start with the receptors, right? We have to start somewhere where there is a change that is being detected. Like in this example, or in this instant that I'm talking about, the receptors of salt, they are going to recept the amount of salt in our body. Then after recepting that amount of salt in our body, send it, convert it into a stimuli, and then the message maybe it's sent to our adrenaline, and then in our adrenaline, those adrenaline, they are going to produce our aldosterone in our blood. Then that aldosterone in our blood, it's going to force our tubules there in our nephrons to reabsorb or to be permeable to salt, right? And then the sodium ion is being reabsorbed back into our blood, right? And then from, if it's too much, it means that the aldosterone is not going to be produced. We are going to let that salt to pass up until it come into our collecting duct, up until it goes to our what do we call this, collect our bladder there, right? So this works hand in hand with ADH, right? Well, the ADH, what is ADH doing? ADH is also being sent here in our nephron, and it's going to permeate, it's going to make this convoluted tubule and our collective duct to be permeable to water. So what is going to happen, the water is going to seep out, right? The water is going to go out. While the water is going out, our capillaries, it is absorbing. So this thing works like a sponge, right? We can remove something, we can absorb something. So these capillaries, they can also absorb those hormones, right? Same way is that how these capillaries, they are absorbing the hormones into the blood system, is the same way our capillaries are absorbing that water back to our blood vessels, or back to our bloodstream, right? So while doing this, that water will be reabsorbed back to our blood, and then the water in our blood is going to rise, right? Then by the time when we don't have water, or when we don't need water, or the water in our blood system here, it's fine. What is going to happen, the ADH is not going to be produced, and then with not production of ADH, this water that is passing here, it will be allowed to pass freely. That's when you have more blood, and that's when you urinate more, because the ADH is not being produced. So same thing with aldosterone. When we found aldosterone in your blood, we know that your blood, or we know that you have more salt in your blood. I agree, we are going to test that that aldosterone is going to be produced into the bloodstream. So we can now, hence same thing when how we measure our glucose. When you go to the clinic, and then what about your glucose, they take it like a blood again. So even here, the aldosterone, we can check those pregnancy what in the urine, right? They check the hormones. We are checking the hormones, that only those hormones, they are produced by someone who is pregnant. But testosterone, oxytocin maybe, right? We can test those. We can also test the high number of progesterone, because we know that after fertilization happen, your progesterone is going to punch up into the sky, and then when now you are going to be flooded with progesterone. I hope you understand this, right? So adrenaline there, also this adrenal gland also produce adrenaline. So adrenaline there, this adrenaline, it prepares our body for emergency. We talked about this when we were doing sympathetic and parasympathetic. I told you, or we learned, Mr. People, together, that in sympathetic, our heart rate is going to be increased, right? Same thing. We also said that we are going to increase more adrenaline. So the more production of adrenaline is to come and keep up with whatever it was started by sympathetic. As we know that nervous system, the response of nervous system, it is only for a short time, right? So for that to keep on happening, we need to inject, or we need to start the production of adrenaline. When this adrenaline is being produced, the adrenaline gets inside our bloodstream and go to attach to those different organs, and then when it attach to those different organs, it's going to maintain whatever the sympathetic have started. One thing, our eyes are going to dilate, right? Our people are going to go big, because now we are preparing for emergency. We are scared now, we are ready to fight now, right? Then one thing, our people are going to be big, so that more light will come in, so that you'll be able to see. Sympathetic, right? We did this in sympathetic. Number two, our heart rate is going to increase, right? Why is our heart rate increasing? So that our blood can be now transferred to all vital organs or vital tissues of our body. Our muscles has to run. They need more oxygen and they need more metabolism. Hence, we said the metabolism is going to kick up, right? We are also going to kick up metabolism, so that the glucose so that the glycogen there can be broken down, and then glucose can be used to produce that ATP, because we need that ATP there. The heartbeat is increasing, so that the glucose can be sent to our cells in a faster speed, also together with oxygen. When they reach there, they are going to do the metabolism system, we do respiration, then from there we produce that energy, and then that energy is stored for that emergency. We are preparing our body for emergency now. That's what adrenaline do. Hence, some people now live their life saying, hey, we are the adrenaline junks, right? Jumping, doing doing bungee jumping, doing what do we call them? Those jumpings that they're jumping, right? Adrenaline rush. You see, I'm not adventurous. I don't know much things that are dealing with adrenaline. Maybe scuba diving, maybe a shark, whatever, right? Cable car, Cape Town, jumping here on Soweto Towers, whatever. Azishe, I don't know much of adrenaline junk, but you know what I'm talking about, right? That adrenaline rush that comes in. With those who are gambling, they know that by the time when you are losing, or by the time when you are seeing that 5, 4, 5, and then their last number is coming, that adrenaline. So there is many things that they can push the adrenaline production in our body, right? Many things that they can adjust this adrenaline. You can be angry, you can be what, you can be what. The hormone that is going to be released is the adrenaline, right? Then we move on. We talked about the gonads, and we said, what are gonads? These gonads are the reproductive organs, or they are the reproductive, what we call glands, right? We have our reproductive organs. Mine, as a male, I have the penis, right? And then the female, they have the vagina. That is their product. They are what we call reproduction organs, right? And then in those organs, we have another organs that we call them the reproductive glands, right? Them, we call them the gonads there. That they are named the gonads, are the reproductive glands, right? We talked about the ovaries, and we also talk about the testes in male, right? The ovaries in females, right? And we understand why are we calling them the endocrine gland. Do they produce the hormone? That hormone is taken into the bloodstream and go affect another part in our body? Yes. Ovaries, they produce estrogen and progesterone, and our testes produce testosterone. That means those two or those three, they are the hormones that they are going to affect every part in our body. Like me having a testosterone in my blood, hence you see me developing beard, hence you see the voice, hence you see the hand becomes rough, the skin becomes, like, you understand, the muscles now become building, because in every part in my body it is spread by testosterone. As a female there, to show that every part of their body is being spread by estrogen, you will see the production of their hips, the skin becoming soft. Do you understand? There, you know, girls back there when they were young, hey, let's be serious here. When you were young, guys, you will really be feel you were scobo. Hey, these people, they don't have to fool us. Back there, mama 10 years, mama 8 years, mama 3 years, they were you. Let them show the pictures. Let them send the pictures here. Let's see. Oh, they will have something else. But now, because they have that estrogen circulating in their blood, that's now you see now the skin they start glowing now. The boobs, the hips, the thighs, the legs, the toes, they smile, the lips, the what, the skin, the eyes, the nose, everything of them becomes wacha. Even on our guys this side, everything of them becomes wacha. Back there, yeah. Back there. But yeah. If maybe we went for money back there, if you found me back there, there's nothing. There's no touch. When you found me back there, you were not even going to date me, or you were not going to, if you were not even going to do what? To consider me in your league. But now, because this testosterone is being circulating my blood, that's now you can say, at least he can throw a punch nyana. Do you understand? So these are the gonads. Estrogen, progesterone, our ovary. We did this during reproduction, right? The reproduction hormones produced by our reproduction organs, right? And then those organs, we have the glands there and the organ, right? Then the glands there are the ovaries, and they also the testes. I will repeat this. I studied somewhere that this miracle we are spanning. And then an example of negative feedback, right? We are also going to focus this on this feedback tomorrow we are going to do question and answer, and then Thursday we are going to do negative feedback, seeing how it is happening, right? So that we prepare for the next week. We do our negative feedback fully, and then from there we learn about our homeostasis, right? So these hormones there, what are the functions of these hormones? These hormones there, they are there to keep. Let's move on, right? We have spent most of time just saying J. We are just spend our time talking. And then here's the concept, paper 1 there, 34 marks, right? This is our term 2, term 3, our activity. But you have to differentiate between exocrine and endocrine. Can you differentiate the two? Yes. The endocrine is the secretion, with the crine being the secretion, right? It's the secretion gland, or is the gland there that secrete that the substance inside our bloodstream. Endo inside, right? And then exo, it is the gland there that secrete the substance outside of the duct, or outside of the cavity, you understand, or outside of the surface, like the tears and the sweat, right? So from there we define a hormone. A hormone is the chemical here. This is the organic I like to say these are the organic chemical messengers in our body, right? Produced by our endocrine glands, and then they go and affect different part of our body or our system, right? If they are going to the heart, they are going to the heart. If they are going to the legs, because our blood is flashing all over our body. It means that the blood that is in my hand now at this time, by the time you listen to this, it can be somewhere in my left leg, somewhere there in my toe, supplying carbon dioxide and supplying oxygen to that toe there. So you see, we don't do repairs. Hence, we are the most complicated machines in this universe. Hence, a human being is the complicated machine. We don't need maintenance. This oil, if we are comparing our AI and us, the AIs, they are going to be using the oils there. What they will say, hey, this oil need to be repaired, right? Trying to come up with the system of the blood. Now I still stand on my ground, guys. Up until we finish these classes, I will stand on my ground. There is no way someone will produce something that looks alike, or that is similar, or that is closer to a human being. Never. Go and tell Elon Musk if you have a problem. Never. Those robots, those are just a mechanism. It's just a mechanism that is doing some things using oil and what. A human being is complicated. Now, as I'm talking to you right now, there's a blood that is circulating in my human being, in my human body. To the legs, from the legs to the heart, from the heart, and then that blood is carrying carbon, it's carrying oxygen, it's also carrying a glucose, supplying to the cells. We have the tiny building blocks of a human being that are called the cells, and those cells, they're the building blocks of a human. It means that every bits and pieces of my human body, it's made out of a cell. That cell it is what we call, that cell is receiving that glucose, and it's using that glucose and that oxygen in that cell, the tiniest. Before I can now come here and say my name is Mr. Mpepu, before I can come here and say, hey, today's date is mang. Hey, Muna. And then we also have okay, let's talk about these glands. I also have to tell you about another glands, right? What are the hormone? These are the chemicals that are organic in our body and that send messages, right? That are the messengers, or that affect the effectors, right? So we have the cell there as the effector waiting there with that receptor. The moment that a hormone reach that cell, it's going to activate, then the impulse is going to be sent inside the cell, and then that cell start whatever that message was sent to do that cell. So it means that our cell now, they are just relaxing. They are just doing their daily job. They are just maybe not even waiting for reproduction, because we also need another we need the growth hormone there, so that it can go there and activate that mitosis or whatever. So my cell is just relaxing, maybe sipping this oxygen that I'm supplying and this glucose, and then your is just producing that protein. Those that are producing hormones, maybe like the tears, they are just producing the tears, relaxing, doing nothing, just relaxing. So you get the point. You get what is happening with your body. This is what is happening with a human body. Even with the cats and what we found the same process happening. So let's move on. The location of each of the following glands using a diagram, the hormones, the secrete, and the function, right? We have the hypothalamus, we talked about that side, and then it produces ADH, and the function of this hypothalamus is to produce ADH. The function of ADH is to control water level, right? Called osmoregulation, ovulation, right? You'll agree with me here. And then pituitary gland or hypophysis, this one produce a growth hormone for growing and development. Thyroid stimulating hormone to stimulate thyroid glands there to produce thyroxine, right? The follicle stimulating hormone to activate the ovaries there, the follicles inside the ovaries to produce to start the development of a human egg, right? And then the luteinizing hormone there, that LH hormone, is going to initiate the ovulation, right? The secretion or the releasing of that ovum from that ovaries, right? And then in our testes there, it's going to initiate, or is going to produce that testosterone by activating those cells or by stimulating the cell of Leydig in our testes, right? You know that. And then from there, prolactin there, we have prolactin for breast milk. Then that breast milk there, we are going to produce that breast. So when after giving birth, that stimulus inside, maybe like, I'm not sure where, maybe in your vagina or somewhere, somehow, after that placenta is going to detach, the stimulus is going to be sent to your hypothalamus, or to your hypothalamus, yes. And then from the hypothalamus maybe to the pituitary gland, and then inside the pituitary gland, the message is going to be sent that, hey Muna, you have to start producing prolactin. There is a baby out there who will need the production of milk, and then your body as a female start to produce that milk. Hence we see that you have given birth by the production of milk. Where now if you just see you releasing milk, we start to think, right? We start to articulate that maybe she has given birth. You know, hey, you kids, hey, leading chata game, people they are giving birth and go to toilet. People are giving birth and throw their child away, muna. So when now you right, let's move on. We also have the pancreas there, and then this pancreas, in this pancreas we have these cells of Leydig, right? So here also in testes, we're also going to say our cells of Leydig. We say lay, I don't want to lie, Leydig, something like this, right? Cell of Leydig, they're the one that produce this testosterone. So inside the pancreas, we also have the islets of Langerhans. These are the cells that produce insulin and glucagon, right? So you can just only say pancreas produce insulin or glucagon, or if you want to play with names, you can say islets of Langerhans, right? IL, islets of Langerhans, right? And then we also have adrenaline gland there that produce adrenaline and aldosterone for salt regulation. This one for salt regulation, this one water regulation, with adrenaline for activation of our flight or fight mode, right? And then ovaries there, estrogen, and then progesterone, right? From our corpus callosum and our follicles, we're producing those estrogen to do what? To prepare our endometrium, right? The lining of our vagina, of our uterus down there. You know, you did this term 1. I was not there, but we learned that estrogen ovaries produce those estrogen and those progesterone, right? So we are done there. Maybe if we can now add introduction to homeostasis. We said homeostasis as the process of maintaining the constant, right, internal environment within the narrow limit despite changes that take place internally or externally, right? So environment in our body has to be kept constant. These glands that we are talking about, when we said the hypothalamus is going to produce ADH, and this ADH is going to regulate water, that regulation of water, we call it homeostasis, that balance, right? When we say ADH is going to balance that water, I agree, ADH is going to regulate water. If we have more water, it's going to cause more water to be released. If we have less water, it's going to cause more water to be reabsorbed back to our blood, right? Also, it's going to send your stimuli to your mouth and every organ in your body to stimulate that thirsty hypothalamus, right? So that you can drink that water again, so that you can but if you are not getting water, that is what is going to happen. Your urine is going to be limited, and then while this body, or while our body is using this hypothalamus to maintain this water regulation, we said that process we have to maintain. The process that we are maintaining is the homeostasis, right? This process here, that balance, you see this in cord, what, right? The cord structure is that you female there balancing the left and the west, right? So that is the balance. And then this is the homeostasis. This is the process of maintaining this balance. This is the process, right? Our body is going to undergo something, or our body is going to use something called negative feedback mechanism, right? This feedback mechanism is going to maintain this homeostasis. This homeostasis is the process of my body to stay constant. It's my body trying to maintain the constant amount of water in my body. It's my body trying is what another one, trying to keep the constant amount of glucose in my blood level. Because if I send more glucose to my cells are going to be more activated, and then I'll end up with energy that I don't know what to do. And you know that during the night you have to sleep, right? So you understand, and you know that as a body, as a human being, you have to conserve that energy for emergency. So if your body if your blood system is going to have more glucose, your cells are going to be activated more, and more ATP is going to be produced, and then that hence you find that with they say hence you find they say don't give a small child sweets during the night. Why? They will say don't give him or her the sweets, let him sleep, right? Because what is going to happen, you are going to flush that baby with glucose. When you flush that baby with glucose, the system, or this homeostasis, or the system of producing an insulin and what it hasn't adapted to that stage where it can produce insulin into that level. So what is going to happen, that glucose of yours is going to be flushed in the blood system there, and then while it's in blood system there, because the insulin, or because the process of converting that glucose into the glycogen, it hasn't adapted to that system of us as a human being. Now as an adult, I can eat coffee and sleep. I can drink more fire and sleep. Now the old machine. I can drink sweets. I can eat cake in my sleep now. But when I as a young adult, or as a young person, your body is not going to allow you. After eating that sweets, after eating those candies and what, your body is going to be activated like any, I don't know. So people that want to use energy drinks and what, you can just eat sweets, right? You know, some people will say, if I can just drink tea and sugar, I'll be fine. Because that sugar, your system hasn't adapted to a point where it can store more. It hasn't suffered. You understand that we are evolving, right? We are also going to do evolution next week. Someone asked me to do evolution previously, but you understand, we are moving by our ATP. We're going to do evolution. You evolve, right? You evolve, right? It means that you have to be hungered, or the scale of hunger. If maybe your scale is here, of hunger, it means that the scale of insulin is also there. Where now for you, that scale, it needs to go down up until you become that last hungry to a point now your body can find or can understand that I can survive with one last ATP of my body, or of my cell. That's when your body now trying to kick up the production, or the use of insulin, it's going to bring back that scale from that down up until to the level. Tell me what is going to happen tomorrow when you bring that scale up there, when you now ingest more glucose. The moment you have that glucose up there, the system is already know that these things is happening, right? The scale can go down there, it means that the scale can go up there. So it's ready prepared. Where not because your scales hasn't go down there. The moment you ingest that sweets or that glucose of yours, we also have those small biscuits, they call them glucose, right? I don't know, maybe the sugar there at the top, that's the glucose they are referring to. But the glucose, we did this in grade 10, if I'm not mistaken. If it's not grade 11, it's grade 10. We did in grade 10 when we were searching, or when we were studying the presence of starch, the presence of glucose using iodine. The glucose that we use, it was like sugar, right? So that sweetness, that you go and learn the study, or go and see something that is sweet. Go and learn that nutrition at the back there. You will see the glucose is there with some numbers. I agree, we did nutrition in grade 11, if I'm not mistaken, if it's not grade 10. But we did nutrition. Go and check. There is a name there, glucose mang percent. Energy mang percent. That glucose there, that is the energy that your body needs. So what is happening is that my homeostasis, if I take that glucose as it is and I ingest it in my body, it means that I'm training my system now to go up or to bring that glucose from up, it means that I'm surviving with more release of insulin. Hence, when you grow up and your pancreas now start to malfunction and produce less insulin, you have a problem of higher sugar in your body. Your cells now, they cannot comprehend the more energy that is being fed. You have high sugar now in your body. Your cells can now they can no longer function correctly because they are more energized. The energy is just flowing all over your body well. So you have to balance that energy. Do you understand? You have to put it in a balance. What you eat have to balance with what I'm going to get. Hence we have the diet now. Hey, you have to eat the apple. You have to eat what? 1 apple a day. What? That's what they are saying. Right? So you need the balance. So this is the homeostasis, this is the balance. So this balance is being brought upon by many things. Like we can do the balance of carbon dioxide. Right, next week we are also going to do this in a small detail, but we'll be just passing by because you can hear that I'm spending lots of my time explaining this before we can go into the deep details of this. Right, from there we have the glucose. Right, we can homeostasis, or we can balance our carbon dioxide, right? Or we can balance the glucose level. It means that our glucose has to be on a scale there. What is inside has to be outside. Where, Mr. Mpepu? Don't confuse us here. Where? In our blood. And then we said that our blood has to carry oxygen from our heart to the tissue. And then when they arrive there to our tissue, they have to release that oxygen and vapor and carry carbon dioxide and bring it here, right? So that 1-to-1 ratio has to balance. The moment we found that more blood cells or more hemoglobin, it is transporting carbon dioxide less compared to transporting of oxygen, we say that our carbon dioxide, there is no balance there. We need to balance that carbon dioxide. Right? Hence now you will start to breathe more. Breathing more, your body now will start to grab those oxygen in more numbers and release carbon dioxide in more numbers. So now if you can take a deep breath and hold it there, you can survive, right? For a certain minute, you can survive up until your body forces you to release that air or take in another breath. That's the balance. That's your body now telling you, that's the defense mechanism. Hence we said this is the central. We are dealing with the brain here. We are dealing with a human being. We are dealing with a complicated machine. So this machine, before it shut down, it tells you, it can even knock you down. You can collapse and faint, and then it recharge. It start all over. Like when by yourself, you are sending an impulse. It's like what you are doing with your cerebellum. You are sending the impulse to the mouth and to the nose to close that valve or to close that opening so that oxygen will come in, right? You are sending it from your cerebellum. So your medulla oblongata, it's also sending the message there so that that opening, it will open so that oxygen will pass, or that air with mixed with oxygen, it will pass, right? So when now the system find themselves fighting, the medulla oblongata is saying, hey, I need oxygen here in my lungs. We need oxygen here in our heart. The heart will start to beat fast, right? Test it now. Close your mouth, close your nose without touching them, right? Without you placing your hand onto your nose. Just stop breathing. You will see what is going to happen. While your body maintaining that homeostasis, you will see that this is an autonomic machine, Mava. This is an automatic machine. We are not right now. You see now, I'm just I'm just a person inside this human body, just misusing this human body called Mr. Paper. I'm just using it. I should be sleeping or eating or relaxing or doing nothing, but I'm choosing to use it. This is a person using an autonomic machine. This is an automatic machine. Why like a one? And I do nothing. Now for me, I can just speak, stand up, go and eat, sit down, make coffee, just fuel this machine of mine, just fuel this machine of mine, while this machine of mine is keeping the balance. And then with that carbon dioxide, the moment now we'll find in your body, we say that in your aorta and in your carotid artery, here in your necks, right? We have the arteries that are bringing oxygen or oxygenated blood from your heart to your head. right? Those arteries there, they have receptors. You know, everything starts with receptors. They have receptors that those receptors, they are going to recept the amount of carbon dioxide. So the moment they see more carbon dioxide passing, being sent to our brain, alarm yell, we only see a maximum amount of the arteries, they are sending oxygen, right? Oxygenated blood. So when we see carbon dioxide now passing that, we see that this blood yet was not cleaned enough in our what, in our lungs. So we send the message there in our lungs, hey, clean out this blood. The blood that is coming here is it is deoxygenated inalichaka, right? And then our lungs is going to send the message to the medulla oblongata, and then in our medulla oblongata is going to send the blood, it's going to send the message into our heart to hit now. Hey, the circulation of blood, we have to collect that blood that is going wrong direction and then send another blood there in our brain. While that is happening, our medulla oblongata will also send the message to the lungs, hey, pump. Your lungs, they will be pumping, your lungs will be now trying to pull in the oxygen that way. Now you are saying, or you are sending the impulse from your cerebrum to your mouth, so that thing is not going to happen. Your body now is going to shut down. Where do we shut down? In our pineal gland, the gland that they are not talking about here. That one in melatonin, go and Google about it. We have a gland that they are not including here called the pineal gland. Let me show you something like this. Pineal gland, right? It produces the hormone called melatonin. But that hormone is the one that makes you to sleep. For you to, I know you don't know what happened before you sleep. When now you just found yourself trying to close your eyes, trying to sleep so that you can sleep. But somewhere in between those moments, you shut down and then you just found yourself waking up tomorrow. That is pineal gland, my brother. But the pineal gland produces the most complicated, part in our brain. Hence, they don't include them here. They don't know. They don't exactly know what is happening with our pineal gland. The pineal gland can shut you down now. Self. Release melatonin and then you shut down, you sleep, you faint. And then the system can now open that. Actually, your cerebrum it was abusing the system. Your cerebrum, it was blocking the air. It's like when you have a car and you block the exhaust that side, what is going to happen? Your car is going to puff and boil and everything. So we need to keep that balance, right? Let's move on. Let's finish this. We need to keep that balance. We have carbon dioxide balance, right? We have glucose balance in our blood here. We have to see that glucose balance. And then we also have the salt balance. We have to see that salt being balanced. And we also have the water balance, water concentration, right? We want to see that water balance. And then water will work hand in hand with salt, right? Osmosis, because when the salt outside is more, the water will move outside. So when the salt outside is more, the salt inside is in, the water will move inside. So the balance there has to be constant so that everything will function, right? So that the glucose that is being sent somewhere, it's not forcing the water inside those cells to be sent inside, and it's not causing the water to be sent outside of the blood cell of the blood system. Only the capillaries, the capillaries, they are absorbing the water and they can also release that water. So we also do the temperature. Temperature also get kept to be constant. Yesterday we talked about this when we did the 37 degrees Celsius, right? We also have to keep it there at 37 degrees Celsius. Our body or our cells, they are functioning better there, right? So from there, we have the pH. We learned this in grade 11 when we say that the pH has to be 7 point something, if I'm not mistaken, right? That's where our pH has to be constant. If I'm not, is it 14? 7? Somewhere there, because the scale from 1 up until 7, right? So it's maybe somewhere 7. So we said that this homeostasis is kept by the mechanism called negative feedback, right? This negative feedback, what is happening with negative feedback, Mr. People? This is the feedback that is going to use the receptors. When those receptors detect that, hey, oxygen, carbon dioxide, we have more carbon dioxide in our blood, we have more carbon dioxide in our blood. That's where the negative mechanism is starting. We have to do what? We have to do something so that carbon dioxide in our blood has to come down. Hence we said the blood carbon dioxide level. We use negative feedback. This negative feedback, it can work or we can use it as an example of bringing down the carbon dioxide, or increase. We just bringing it down, we cannot increase, right? Our body is just to make sure that carbon dioxide leaves our body as much as it can get, and then much oxygen can get inside, right? We can meditate, you can do anything so that that circulation can be produced, right? But when you find that way, now your system is leaking, now we have more carbon dioxide increasing, your body or your system has to do something from that moment to bring down that carbon dioxide. So it means that it's going to send the message to the medulla oblongata, and then medulla oblongata is going to send the message, those receptors, they're going to send a message to the medulla oblongata, and then your medulla oblongata is going to send a message to your brain, to your lungs and your heart, so that they will start to beat up, right, in a faster rate, so that the oxygen can be changed. Negative feedback while we are trying to keep that layer of homeostasis into the place. I hope you understand this by now. We also have a negative feedback to control glucose, right? That glucose, we talked about it, that the moment you ingest more glucose, the glucose in your bloodstream become higher, right? So those receptors, they're going to recept that we have more glucose here. And then the message is going to be sent where? To your pancreas to produce that insulin. And then we can also send to your cerebrum there, so that way now, and your medulla oblongata, so that way now you won't need to eat anything. You find your appetite is cancelled, totally wrong. When you see things, you're no longer being appetized. You feel like you can throw up now. That is your body trying to maintain that homeostasis. For it to fight with that insulin without you ingesting another insulin, it has to stop that appetite. I hope you understand this. And then we also have the thyroxine there. That thyroxine chemical, that thyroxine hormones that is there for the metabolism of our cells, so that our cells can now use that glucose, right? When we have more of it, it means that our cells, they are going to convert glucose in a high level now. They are going to misuse the glucose. Let's just say, for example, I'm fasting, and then I'm fasting, the glucagon is being converted to glucose, and then now my body is having more thyroxine, and my body is it's increasing the metabolism, and it's using all the glucose in my blood. More ATP is just being produced. The energy, I always have more energy because of this thyroxine. So the more that thyroxine is increasing, right, the more that thyroxine it's increasing, we also have the receptor that is going to receptor. No man, our thyroxine, it is increasing. So we have to inhibit the production of thyroxine stimulating hormone from pituitary gland. So the message has to be sent to the pituitary gland to say, hey, we have enough energy in our body. We don't need more energy, or we don't need our system to be activated to produce more energy. We have enough. Stop producing thyroid stimulating hormone. Then by stopping producing thyroid stimulating hormone, we are going to be stopping the thyroxine production. So if your body cannot do that, hence you end up being having something called goiter. I talked about yesterday, right? Hence you end up having something called goiter, something like T. Is it T here? Goiter, R here, right? So we also have water, and then water balance osmoregulation, right? And we also have here in our glucose, if your body is having more insulin, it cannot produce more insulin, we end up suffering from diabetes, right? And then we also have water, which is called osmoregulation. Yes, diabetes I was talking about. There's goiter, yeah, goiter here. I'm feeling the spelling of goiter while I have it here. Goiter. Some days, like the swelling of your throat. We are going to talk about, you're going to see this when we move on with our class, right? And then we also have osmoregulation, the balance of water there. That balance of water there has to be constant, right? When we have less water in our blood, we have to take more water from our urine. If we have more water in our blood, we have to let water leave our urine, right? Negative feedback. And then we also have salt there. The moment the receptor recept that, hey, salt is high here, what is going to happen? The message is going to be sent to the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is going to send the message to the pituitary gland. Pituitary gland is going to produce that ADH. And then that ADH is going to be produced to our kidney. And then inside our kidney, am I explaining what? Salt. This one will be water, and then salt. The message will be sent to our aldosterone, right? In aldosterone, then into our adrenal gland. In our adrenal gland, the aldosterone, they are going to be produced, and then aldosterone, when they are produced, they are going to affect those tubules, and then we absorb back that salt, and we maintain that sodium ion in our body. So that's it, guys. That was the lesson. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing me, guys. Today it was only the discussion. As you can see, the endocrine system there is responsible. As you can see there, today it was more of discussion, right? We did all of this. We did the ovaries. We did this ADH. We did pituitary gland. The pituitary gland, as you can see, is here. This one will be hypothalamus connected to the pituitary gland. We have growth hormone, FSH, LH, and prolactin, right? And then we also have the pancreas there. That is the pancreas. And we also have the adrenal gland. That is the adrenal gland. And then we also adrenal gland, adrenal, from it produce adrenaline, right? It's an adrenal producing adrenaline. It's an adrenal gland, right? And aldosterone there. Then we have the ovaries only in females, and we have testes only in males, right? This one producing only testosterone, this side producing estrogen and progesterone. So that is, and then we are done. We'll be doing with our negative feedback on Thursday. Tomorrow we'll be dealing with our questions and answers from our textbook, from our examination guidelines, how they produce or how they bring these questions to us. We did that yesterday. We did this yesterday, and then we did the endocrine today and yesterday. Those are the endocrines that I was talking about, same as our mind the gap, right? It's just that in our mind the gap, they also give the function of this also in this picture. But here they elongated the thing, then they came down here and then give this ADH, right? This picture here, you can see. As you can see, we have hypothalamus there, and this hypothalamus, as you can see, it is this part connected here. I'm not sure if you can see my pen there. That part there, that will be hypothalamus, and the pituitary gland will be this part connected to our pituitary gland there, right? Our hypothalamus having an axons that they can produce ADH, and ADH being stored here. As you can see, Barry, your pituitary gland, it is straight with your human eye here. The angle that your human eye makes, the curve that your forehead and your nose curve there, that will be your pituitary gland, straight there, right? And then your third eye, this is the hormone. Third eye, we call this is the third eye. This is where you have the third eye, right? But the pineal gland, I'm not sure if this is the pineal gland here or somewhere here. Somewhere here we have the pineal gland, right? Between those two, we have the pineal gland that when we point them, we point into, and even the name, they even call it the third eye. Where do we find the third eye? We find here in our forehead, right? It's not our pituitary gland. It will be our pineal gland that shut down everything, that makes you to sleep and wake you up. That is your chip. We remove you that in your sleep, you're no longer going to wake up. We remove that in your you are in your now. If like we remove it now or it damage now, it means that when you are no longer going to sleep. And we are not going to have a problem with that. It's just that your body won't shut down and refresh. You know, when that your body is sleeping, everything is refreshing. Your body is multiplying. Everything in your body is happening. The digestion, the energy is being stored, the glucose is being stored for next day, and then everything, you understand, you ate burger during the day, and then that burger is being digested, and then the glucose is being taken, stored, because you are doing anything when your cells, they don't need energy, they are relaxed. That glucose is being stored to a glycogen so that you'll function tomorrow. Tomorrow morning you wake up, you have the energy, you are rejuvenated. You said, hey, that sleep helped me. Right? Where? In the pineal gland. Somewhere here we have this gland. You will go and Google it, right? Pineal gland that produce melatonin. That melatonin is the hormone that makes you to sleep and wake up, right? And then we have cerebrum. We know we have pituitary gland. This pituitary gland have two sides, right? We have the anterior lobe, which means the front side, the frontal side, and the posterior lobe, which means the backward side. So we have the back side facing the back, and we have the side facing the up. So this part here in our front, that's where most of our hormones are being produced, right? Or both ADH and what. As you can see, our hypothalamus there secrete ADH is secreted by our hypothalamus, and then also vasopressin, also called vasopressin, right? And then target kidney, what it's going to do in our kidney, we talked about this, is going to stimulate the reabsorption of CO2 into the tubules, the distal and collecting duct, right? And then it's going to protect the body against dehydration. So now when you are dehydrated, your body is going to produce more ADH, and then in in hand with our medulla, with our hypothalamus initiating the thirst in our blood, right, or in our body. Our system now will start to tell us that, hey, you are thirsty, my brother. You are thirsty, my brother. To understand? While our ADH is making sure that we don't urinate or we don't lose more water. Right? I hope you understand that. Then from there we have our pituitary gland. This one will be the center there, inside there. Then from there we are moving down. We have pituitary gland, anterior lobe. As you can see, we have anterior lobe, the backside. All those 5 that we are talking about, they are from our anterior lobe. And then this ADH and oxytocin, they are in posterior of our pituitary gland. So as you can see, as you can do that, our posterior, as you can see, our posterior gland make same color with this, right? With our hypothalamus there. This will be hypothalamus, everything there. They just zoomed it. So you can see that this part here is on also something that is going to produce all those hormones that we see, right? So an ADH is going to be stored here in our posterior lobe. I hope you understand that. This is the anterior lobe. You are going to produce that thyroid stimulating hormone, and it's going to stimulate the thyroid, and then the thyroid is going to be stimulated for growth. As you see, it's going to grow. While it's growing, we are going to have production of our thyroxine, stimulate thyroid gland to secrete the hormone thyroxine there. So this thyroxine now is going to function as the development of our brain and our muscles metabolism, right? So from there, we have the follicle stimulating hormone. You can see follicle there, stimulating hormone, and then it's going to be affecting our ovaries in our females, and then testes in our male, right? In our testes, it's going to stimulate the testes to produce spermatozoa. You know, the first process of spermatogenesis, right? Those cells, they have to be initiated so that they can now start meiosis. They don't just start meiosis out of nowhere, right? And then there in our human ovaries, we started that this one is the development of follicles, and then those follicles stimulate the production to produce hormone estrogen, right? Those follicles there is going to produce those estrogen, and then it's going to stimulate the development of ova or eggs in the female. Though the first production of follicle stimulating, it's when now the production of our ovary or of our ova or eggs is going to be initiated, right? Our luteinizing hormone there, luteinizing hormone, right? And then ovaries and testes, again, as you can see, they showed you the structure of our ovaries and our testes if you've forgotten them. And then stimulate ova maturation, right? And then ovulation. This one, we know that the first thing of luteinizing hormone for ovulation, right, the releasing of ovum, while it also stimulates the maturation of it, because before it ovulates, it has to mature. And then in our testes, where in our cells of leg dig, they are going to stimulate the production of male hormone called testosterone. So the testosterone, it is produced, or it is initiated by our luteinizing hormone, right? So the luteinizing in our pituitary gland is going to initiate the production of testosterone, and then the follicle stimulating hormone is going to initiate or stimulate the production of spermatozoa, those sperms, right? And then we have prolactin there. I told you that we are going to see the human breast. This will be the human breast, and then this will be the nipple there, and then this will be the glands there, the mammary glands. We call them the mammary glands, right, or the milk glands, right? And then hence we said something is a mammary. That animal, it is a mammary. It because that I am also a mammary animal. I'm also under the mammary because I also have the breast. In my breast is just by mammary glands. They didn't produce because of oxytocin, right, and progesterone and estrogen. I don't have that much production in my body. I don't have estrogen. I don't have progesterone. If that is the case. So if that it was there in my body, I was going to see my breast increase. We want to do a breast transgender. We can now inject you with those estrogen, progesterone, oxytocin, all those female hormones, and we see how your body is going to react, because you have the mammary glands that they are going to recept those hormones and initiate something, you know. So these are the mammary glands. During estrogens, they are going to increase. Actually, estrogen is going to prepare your body for puberty, so it's going to increasing your breast there, And then that breast, after increasing, it will wait up until you have a baby. By the time you produce the baby, the production or the release of placenta, the production of new hormones in your body, it's also going to trigger the production of prolactin, and that prolactin is going to stimulate the milk production and secretion, and you start to produce milk, and the milk start to flow outside of your breast. Also, when you have sex, right? So some people, they can ask, why why my breast, why the milk, you see the milk that produces, right? Even if you are a male, if you press your breast, the milk come out there. It when that prolactin can be produced during sexual arousal, right? Sexual arousal, and what those hormones that are being produced during sexual arousal, they can stimulate the production of prolactin. And because your breast have less mammary glands, it means that the milk that is going to be produced, it's going to be produced at a less quantity. Even if you are a male, if you press your diaphragm, because the prolactin is not that much present in your blood. I hope you understand that, right? We are done, and then we have our growth hormone, our bone and muscles for development. It's going to stimulate the growth of long bones and skeletal muscles. As yesterday I talked about those dwarf people and a giant people, we're still going to talk about those, right? A giant and a dwarf people, because if you are dwarf, your growth hormone, it was less. If you are giant, your hormone, it was too much, right? So those are the other important endocrine glands that make up the endocrine system. The adrenal gland, we know about this. The ovaries and the testes, we know about this. The pancreas, we have the thyroid gland. These are the important, right? They are saying other important endocrine glands, not all. We also have pineal gland here, but they are not talking about it. That means they are not going to ask you about it. But all the endocrine glands are essential for ensuring healthy metabolism, and maintaining homeostasis. From there, we are passing by our adrenal gland. Our adrenal gland, you learn this, that this is the part here at the top of our kidney, right? This part here at the top of our kidney, that is our adrenal gland. This our adrenal gland is also divided into two, the cortex and the medulla, right? And then we secrete two as adrenaline there, or the hormone there, which is called adrenaline and aldosterone, right? We talked about them, saying the adrenaline is preparing my body for fight or flight hormone, right? It's a fight or fight hormone. It's the hormone that is preparing my body for fight or flight or fleet, right? And then the heart is going to increase, right? Yes, the increased heart rate, the blood supply to cardiac muscles, right? So we want the blood to be supplied to our cardiac muscles, to our body muscles, to our any other parts of our body, right? We have the liver there, and then in the liver we have to stimulate the liver to increase conversion of glycogen into glucose, because this glucose this glucose for metabolism. And then we have to say we also have to affect the skeletal muscles to increase the blood supply into the skeletal muscles, so that we'll be ready to fight, right? And then the eyes there, the stimulus become the pupil there dilated or become wide, right? So that we can see, or more light will pass in, so that we'll be more vigilant. And then we have the skin there, and then this skin is going to decrease the blood supply to less vital organs, right? The skin is going to be decreased the blood supply, right? So that the blood can be transferred to vital organs, right? Like our heart, our lungs, our skeletal muscles. Because they need more blood, we are going to restrict the blood flow to our skin, because at that moment the skin doesn't need blood. It need blood for what, right? Also our digestive system, we also learn that in our digestive system, the blood there, the vessels there become constricted, so that the blood there won't be transported there. Because during that time, during sympathetic, our digestive system, it is inhabited, it's not moving. So why will you send blood there, right? And then in our lungs is we are going to increase that breathing, so that oxygen and carbon dioxide will get in or get out. And then in our blood cells, because of increasing of our glucose, we are going to increase the metabolic rate. We are not going to increase the metabolism, we are just going to increase the metabolic rate. At what rate the metabolism is happening? If yesterday we were burning, or we were using 1 glucose per hour, today we'll be using 2 glucose per hour, like that, right? Then from there, aldosterone, which works also in kidney, the target there is the kidney. and then with this target being kidney, it's going to regulate the salt concentration in the blood, works together with ADH, right? So this one is going to permeate those tubules in our nephrons, and then after being permeated, we are going to reabsorb sodium ion back to our blood, right? And then it works hand in hand with ADH, while the ADH being there trying to reabsorb that water back to our blood system. So we also have the reproductive glands, right, called gonads. I thought we are done. So called gonads, right? But the hormones released by human reproductive glands, the importance of reproduction for stimulating the secondary characteristics in onset of puberty. So these hormones, they are the one that is going to start the puberty. When the puberty started, that's when now we can gradually develop our body. We now enter into the second. It's like your update, your phone become updated, or your machine become updated to the second level, right? You are no longer a baby, you are no longer a child. Now you can reproduce. Now you can think. Now you can tap in and use those cerebellum and those what. Now you can manipulate your body. Now you can, in hence if I said 18 years, you can start drinking, because now you can destroy that thing. Do you understand? While it's more useless, if maybe it's just that they're not going to say it, but if they were to say 18 years, you no longer drink, you are allowed to drink from 0 up until 18, and if with your choice, you will see that drinking it will be fine. But hey, uchwala, there's no way. We have to drink it. Maybe because there is very muti wenyon. You know, those who have babies, they have this alcohol thing, alcohol medicine for ngwana. I'm not sure what is the mutuenyon, the blue one. I'm not sure if it's the right name, but those who know the name, Google, comment there. We have the blue, what we call a blue box medicine for vana. That medicine, you know, if you give a baby, the baby is going to sleep right through. But only alcohol. But in females, the ovaries are stimulated by FSH from the pituitary gland. The ovaries themselves release estrogen and progesterone, right? So this one will be the second gland. We know that we have the first gland that stimulates the second gland, right? It will be stimulated from pituitary gland stimulating these what we call these ovaries, right? We have ovaries. We have those that gland from gland, right? Gland from gland, which will be pituitary gland. It can be to thyroid gland, right? And it can also be to ovaries. We can also be to testes, and then these also produce another hormones, right? So know that by that. We have to produce something that is going to stimulate our ovary or our sperm there. Our testes there and our ovaries there. Right? And then these ovaries from there, they are going to be stimulated and now start producing estrogen and progesterone, right? And then which plays roles in the menstrual cycle, we know. And then in males, the cells of Leydig, this is the spelling, Leydig, in the testes secretes the male hormone testosterone, which stimulates sperm production in maturation. When you mature, you start producing that sperm, right? As you can see, the testes and the ovary, same thing there. They look like the same structure, like something. They are tshwananyana, right? In the fallopian tube, we did this ovary there up until the endometrium. Then these are the testes there inside, right? And then this one will be the epididymis. You did this. Then this is the function of estrogen. We did this. It promotes the thickening of endometrial, or it prepares the first preparation of endometrial. It is brought upon by our estrogen, and it promotes the development of the female secondary sexual characteristics in puberty. The hips, the voice. It's not all about the hips. It's not all about the breast, right? It's also all about the voice, the scent, the odor that they remove, that they release. And then you know that in reproduction, some animals, they produce what we call them a scent, right? We call them a scent, right? The smell. I'm not sure if this is a scent, right? And that odor. Then that odor, when males start to smell it and feel it, they start to be aroused and feel like, oh, this one, she's matured now. I'm not sure. Very real. And then it promotes fertility. So your endometrium you start to be fertile now. Now you can start to reproduce. Like reproduce and be like a sand, the ocean sand. So now you are ready to reproduce. And then there the brother progesterone is going to be produced, and it's going to promote further thickening and vascularization of the endometrial wall. The blood is going to be stored there. We will have a more blood being sent there to our endometrium, preparing for that implantation. Right? If it happen, our corpus luteum, it's going to be producing that progesterone up until the placenta takes over. And then from there, it maintains the implantation of embryo during pregnancy. That's what I was talking about, up until that corpus luteum degenerate, right? And then placenta takes over. And then we have testosterone on our male's figure, and then this testosterone, it stimulates the development of male sex organs and secondary characteristic during puberty. So this side we have testosterone, this side we have estrogen, right? That initiate these secondary characteristics, me, the voice, the beard, the masculinity, the hair there and there, the skin starting under the feet, the legs, the arm, me being masculinity, me being man. It is due of this testosterone, right? I'm also what? Responding to the environment, right? Responding to the internal stimuli. So it means that somehow my body detected something, and then my body said, yes, now you can start being mature. You can start to update, right? Or we wait up until the update is there, or we wait up until the follicle stimulating hormone is well produced, and now it can released, because the moment that FSH is released, that's when maturity begins, right? Hence we have babies that have babies. Hence people, they can be fertile in a younger age. 12 years, 12 o'clock lunchtime. 12 years, 10 years, 5, they are fertile. So we are done there. It promotes maturation of the sperm. There, the sperm are going to be initiated by those testosterone. And then that was it from Mr. Paper. I hope we are done. Hey, we have yesterday we have an activity, and then we did this yesterday, right? Number A. The diagram shows some of the human endocrine glands. Name the glands A up to G and list the hormones produced by each gland, right? Number A, there up there will be hypothalamus, and it produced a DH, right? Number B, there will be pituitary gland and produce growth hormone, luteinizing thyroid stimulating hormone, follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone, and then prolactin, 5 of them, right? And then from there we have thyroid, right? Thyroid gland. And then this thyroid gland produce thyroxine, right? Thyroxine, right? Then we move on. We have our adrenaline gland there, adrenaline gland up there, and then this adrenaline gland is going to produce aldosterone, and adrenaline, right? And then number E, that will be our pancreas, right? Pancreas produced insulin, and what? And glucagon, right? Know that it is produced, it is glucose, right? And we're saying that we have glucose, and then this glucose, another form of glucose, it is glycogen, right? This gly and glue, they are not there. Then this glue here will say it is insulin divided by glucagon, as you can see, right? Insulin, glue. Glue, it is to unglue, or it is to glue the chemicals to form glucose, right? As you can see, glue and glucose there, right? And then insulin, it is to break down or to form this glucose to glycogen. And then in this glycogen, it can be broken down, or it can be glued together to form glucose. Glued together by what? By glucagon. So what is produced by our pancreas, it is insulin and glucagon. I hope we are together, right? Glucagon, it is the glue that glue to glycogen, or whatever the number of glycogen. I'm not sure they say how they do it, right? They are going to convert. This is the thing. They are going to convert the glycogen into glucose. So we produce insulin and glucagon. Insulin, Glucose we know it doesn't glucose we know insulin it going to convert glucose, but glucose to what? To gly, right? To glycagon, and then insulin and glucagons they are at the bottom. Cargon. So this glucagon, it is the glue of this cargon to form glucose. I hope you understand that. We have insulin, right? Divided by glue. We want glue. Gluing what? Cargon. Right? And then this glucagon, it is as you can see, this glucagon, it's going to glue that glycogen. I wanted to write glucagon again. That glucagon is going to glue that glycogen. As you can see, cargon here. This glycogen is going to be glued to form glucose. And then this insulin is going to be attacking it like this, attacking this. And then this one will be attacking this, attacking this. Yeah. That glucagon is attacking our glycogen, converting into the glucose. Our insulin is going to force that glucose to be stored as glycogen. So I hope you are done there. And then number F, that will be ovaries, and then ovaries, estrogen and progesterone, right? And then number T, there, this will be testes producing testosterone, like this, testosterone, right? Progesterone, from this sterone, right? And aldosterone there up there. And that's it was for me, guys. I will see you tomorrow. Let's meet tomorrow, guys. Let me give you time to go and study. Let's meet tomorrow, guys. My name is Mr. Pepu, and tomorrow maybe we can start here before we can do. And then number A, let's see the questions. But give the term of hormone A. What is hormone A? Hormone A, it is affecting the heartbeat faster, arteries to go becoming narrower, arteries to gut become narrower, right? And then arteries to muscles widen. But effect of a certain hormone on the heart and blood supply to a certain body. Then the hormone A, that one will be adrenaline, right? Adrenaline, right? And then this adrenaline is going to increase the heart rate, and then it's going to decrease the blood flow. This one, by this gut becoming narrower, it is decreasing the blood flow to the gut, and then this by becoming wider, it is increasing the blood flow to our muscles there. But state the position of the gland that secretes hormone A on top of our kidney, or on top of each of the kidney. But explain, number 3, explain the importance of narrowing of the arteries to the gut under emergency condition, because we want to inhibit that peristalsis, or we want to inhibit the reproduction system, the digestive system, right? Because digestive system also need energy. So we need to send energy, or we need to accumulate that energy to a muscles that are going to be activated, or that are going to be used in this emergency situation. 4 marks there. But name the part of human eye that is also affected by hormone A, adrenaline, the pupil there. The pupil there is going to also be affected, which is the part of our human eye. But explain the influence of hormone A on the part named in 4. Here, this part here, explain the influence. Our pupil there, explain the influence of hormone A on the part named in question 4. The influence of hormone of adrenaline, our pupil is going to widen, right? 3 marks. The pupil is going to be widen, or our pupil is going to become big in diameter, and then by doing that, our light is going to pass through, and then while passing through, our image, or our image is going to be, we are going to be vigilant, right? That is the influence. This hormone is going to make that pupil to become big, and then that is going to influence the air or the light to pass through and enter our human eye, right? So thank you. That was it from me, Mr. Pepu. Let's meet tomorrow when we are doing our basic education question and answer, right? So thank you, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being with me. Today we are done. Tomorrow we'll be doing another thing. So let's meet tomorrow. Thank you, guys. Those who are subscribing, subscribe. Those who are commenting, comment. Those who are liking, like. Those who are passing by, pass by. And those who are saying that shosholoza, shosholoza, say shosholoza, shosholoza. Until we meet again tomorrow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Today we are done. I'm done. Thank you. Peace. Until we meet again. Khotsong ayibelilina mlalo kobe na batho bothe kurula kobe nani ukuthula kobe nani kurula kobe na nwina mulalo ube na batho bothe. If you know better you will do better. Signing out, Mr. Mpepu. Peace, 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 peace.